Welcome to the first annual, maybe first and last, Chrono 24 beauty pageant. Talking about the watch is not about us.
Oh, okay.
Although I think you're very handsome.
Thank you, you too.
The rules of the game are very simple. Each of us is going to name what we think is the most gorgeous, most beautiful, most astounding watch for affordable, sport, dress, and complication. And just for a little twist, we each have to guess what we think the other person is going to say for the category. I know you pretty well. I'm a little more mysterious.
You are, yeah.
What do you got on the rest today, huh? A beautiful watch to start.
I have a beautiful watch.
If this comes up later, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's a loaner, it's not mine. And you know this watch very, very well. It's a Lange. A bit small for my beefy, meaty wrist.
34 and a half, huh?
Yeah, it's 34, let's say 35. And my sweet spot is like these ones, like 38s. 37s, 38s, but it's a piece that I
Your
really...
sweet spot is a 42 millimeter Speedmaster.
No, that's my favorite chronograph. No, I like a 38, a 39, but this is a watch is sweet and I love it. I love to see it every once in a while, every time I'm in New York or when the watch is in Geneva. And it absolutely does not match my shirt, but it's a beauty pageant for watches, not for us. And even if it was for us, I mean, look at this face.
The first Londa plaid combination.
Yeah, it's a face for radio, as they say, so. So yeah, that's mine. What's that thing?
This is the new Patek Philippe Cubitus.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. This is a 1975 Longines 4822.
You like Longines?
I love tagular cases. I love 70s stuff.
It's a cool watch.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm wondering when they made these watches, how come you don't see them in the wild anymore? It's like probably did like one watch, sold it, the other one.
Maybe 4822 if you want to look it up. One reminder before we begin. It's a deeply superficial competition. We're not talking about best value, historical significance, horological importance. It's just what gets your gears going from looks alone.
Okay.
Deeply shallow, let's say.
Okay.
Affordable is first. For you, I'm going to say my backup answer, which is Omega Constellation Pi Pan.
No.
No?
Never liked that watch.
What? It's so good.
Never liked that watch.
There's so much like rhythm to it and texture and depth.
The
lugs are like nice and sharp.
Also, they're not affordable anymore. They're quite expensive.
Okay.
But you're right, it's going to be a vintage piece.
Okay.
And it's also not a Swiss watch.
Are we going Japanese?
Maybe we're going Japanese. I don't have one specific reference number, but I really love vintage King Psychos.
There we go.
So I think those
and I've worn yours before. It's great looking.
Exactly. Watch. Yes, exactly. So you can have automatic, you can have manual wind, you can have, the case shape is roughly the same. The dial is mostly white, so that's a given. So in this sense, there's not a lot of excitement with these models, but I think they're, let's say $600, $700, $800 or euros, maybe up to 1,000 or so, which I consider affordable, like sub 1,000. The movements are beautiful. There's a steel case back, but you can buy third-party display case back. And I suggest if you get one of these, buy the display case back because those watches are just really beautiful movements, especially if you have like a manual wind watch.
Yeah.
There's no rotor. And they're just super understated.
You get the architecture of the Grand Seiko family.
What you see now. Yeah.
44 GS kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Like if you go back to...
Is it Tanaka's rules of design or something like that?
Yeah. So it's like what you see from Grand Seiko shrinked to like a 37, 38 millimeter steel case. So I think there's plenty to choose from. You have to pay attention that the dial is not flaking, because you can see the edges, can get damaged. But I think those are
indicative of just like moisture damage and that.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
usually.
Yeah, and if it's on the dial, it's on the movement as well.
And if you flip the watch over, there's always like a gold medallion on the case back, which is super cool. So I think those are aesthetically just like very simple, very elegant, not everyday watches. You don't really see vintage King Seikos in the wild.
I thought you were going to go Omega. I'm not too surprised by King Seiko.
Okay. Yeah, well, you wore mine, as you said, and in Tokyo at that. So.
Yeah. What do you think I'm going to say? You're not going to get it. You're not going to like my answer. I'm not even like fully confident in my answer.
Probably going to go with like a micro brand.
No.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted to say something like a micro brand, like a Baltic or something like that.
Great looking watches.
Great looking
like
watches.
Number one.
Great looking watches.
If I can only choose one.
Yeah, you're going vintage as well?
Ish.
Okay, so like a neo-vintage, which apparently is not a term. And I'm asking you,
Yeah,
is
it is.
neo-vintage a term? There
Yeah.
you go. Because apparently it's not a term. I have absolutely no
Just throw out a guess.
affordable.
You've known me for years.
Okay, let's say.
is getting insulting.
You also like your swatches, so maybe a swatch.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so I was gonna say Universal Genève Pole Router. I think it's like one of the most beautiful watches
Also not affordable.
ever designed. Not affordable, especially now.
Yeah.
They used to.
They used to be, yeah.
A few years ago, like $1,000.
Yeah.
And then now, especially since Breitling announced that they're bringing the brand back, and now that there's more enthusiasts out there, no stones left unturned. I always wondered, why aren't they more expensive? And it turned out a lot of other people wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, Genta's like kind of first real is watch design. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. But
It is.
my actual pick for like is super affordable is
Swatch.
yeah, the Swatch Jellyfish, actually.
Which
a
one is
little anachronistic. It's the
You have
transparent
that
one. No, I don't. But no, I'm going to go Swatch Jellyfish.
Swatch, yeah.
Great use of color. Great use of transparency. The materials, the clear plastic, plays a role in the design of the watch. With the steel watch, it's like, okay, yeah, because it's cheap, it's durable, things like that. Aesthetically, like the clear plastic like really is the heart and soul of the watch. I like a little bit gimmicky, but I like seeing even a quartz movement through the dial side. And I think we're not factoring in historical significance and everything like that, but Swatch did really play a role in keeping the Swiss watch industry alive.
Almost single-handedly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is, it's affordable, it's fun. You get a mechanical interest just by seeing the movement underneath.
That's like $150 or so?
Oh, not even.
Not even.
Yeah, not anymore. And the aesthetic that I really like, I'm a early 90s kid. When we had the early Apple computers where you could see all the guts on the inside, I had the Game Boy with the transparent case on it.
See-through Game Boy.
It strikes home for me for that reason.
I had a red Game Boy.
I had a
Red.
purple see-through one.
Game
Back
Boys
then.
were like the video games, Game Boys
So
were the
the PS
swatches of video games.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I could see that. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, good. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And I
fun,
kind of guessed it for
colorful.
the second time.
Yeah, I believe it.
Nice. So second one is sports watch.
I think you're going to say, we had it on the table a second ago, 5513, Submariner.
No,
We've talked about this before, and it's your, I think, kind of your most recent pickup.
it is my most recent pickup. It's
And a gorgeous watch.
It's a gorgeous watch. It's my birthday watch, but it's a watch that's near and dear to my heart because many people that I love and I care about were involved in it. Not including you, but I do love you as well. It would have been an obvious choice. And my other choice would have been, which I'm not going to say because I already spoke about this in one of the previous plus minus videos, is my 910 Flightmaster. Because it's like such a cool watch. It's a sports watch in the sense that it's big and steel and
It's
does
like
a
a
bunch of...
computer on the wrist, too.
Exactly.
Talk about tool watches. You have have a lot of tools built in.
It's a super cool watch. It's the 910, so it's the first caliber 910. So it's the first iteration with a 24-hour indicator, like green and black, remember?
The airplane hand on there as well.
Airplane hand, airplane on the back. It's the thinner profile case with the dome crystal. But that's not what I picked. And the reason not what I picked because I already, as I
Got me
said,
all worked
mentioned
up.
that. So it's something else. But I can give you another hint. You were right with the 5513. It's a diver.
See, if not early Submariners, my answer would be 50 Fathoms, but I don't think you're going that way.
It's the re-edition of the Duxa Sub 300. And the reason is because I really love the slim, again, just like with the Flightmaster, the thinner case profile. I really love that they basically went like 1-to-1 vintage and new when it comes to the case shape and everything. Back then when they released it, all the re-editions were like bigger or thicker, a bit different. And that was like, that's the vintage, that's the new, you can't tell the difference. And then they do a bunch of case, not a bunch, but they do like steel, they do carbon, they do a bunch of dial colors.
Beauty pageant, most beautiful. What's your pinnacle combination for this?
So I
Dial
really,
case, whatever.
So I really like the carbon case, carbon bezel, carbon dial version, the limited edition one with the Aqualung logo. But I have to say, for everyday, I was surprised when I asked one for a review. It's the aquamarine blue, which is not your typical blue. It's like a very kind of sea blue, kind of, a lighter blue, not a baby blue, but it's also not a deep blue. And it's such a great color. And with this thinner profile case on a bracelet, it's a really, really good combination. So that's probably my favorite.
Not for me. Dots is a very particular shape.
Yeah.
And no matter how thin it is, it always looks chunky. That makes sense?
Not this one, but yeah, of course it does. Because
Yeah.
usually they are big, thick, and heavy. And now I have to guess your sports watch.
Yeah.
It is, your favorite sports watch is a AP Royal Oak.
No, that's not bad though. I'm wearing my Broke Boy Royal Oak, my octagonal.
And you have an AP, so I thought maybe that's where the
I have a
connection...
very non-AP AP.
Yeah, but I thought maybe that's where the connection comes from, like a Royal Oak AP. Okay.
I'm a big fan of non-Royal Oak AP. I did a whole video on them, and I'm very passionate about it. But no, it's a Rolex actually, if you can believe it. And I'm not even a Rolex fanboy.
Sports Rolex?
Yeah.
Oh.
Vintage.
Don't tell me it's a turnograph.
No. I mean, those are good.
Because you wore one last week.
Yeah. No, I like the vintage chronograph, like the 6202 is amazing.
Yeah.
There are other ones that are objectively probably more beautiful. 6238 pre-Daytona is really good.
Uh-huh.
The Submariner, of course, 1675 GMT, beautiful. The one that really like speaks to me, and when I was building my list, I would go through my saved photos on Instagram. The watch that comes
I
up.
save different types of photos on Instagram.
Sneakers.
Mostly.
Oh my God.
Sneakers.
The watch that is more represented than any other one, for whatever reason, is the Rolex Explorer 2 1655.
Oh, yes.
Like you scroll down my little favorites list and it's just always there.
It's a very interesting watch, right? Because it is an Explorer 2, but it's not the Explorer 2, but it is the Explorer 2.
It is. It's different than the modern version, I would say.
But yeah, but I was saying like it's not a continuation of the modern version is not a continuation of the vintage one.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think on Explorer 2 is like the modern one, the black and the white dial, but it's not. It's that one. But because there's no continuation, it's kind of the Explorer 2, but then it's gone.
I mean, the modern 1655 is just the Black Bay Pro,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
different.
No, that's
To put it kindly.
That's a nice pick, I have to say.
I love the orange GMT hand, or 24-hour hand, or whatever you want to call it. I know it's a spelunking watch. It's a K-Town
Exactly.
watch.
That's
It's
super cool about it.
Yeah. I mean, we're not
Spelunkers.
factoring history or anything
Yeah.
like that. We're not factoring like purpose-driven, whatever. It's just a beautiful looking
Steve
watch.
McQueen.
I love the orange hand. Now that the tritium is aged, it's like two different. It's like two tones of orange. I like that the hour markers are this kind of like alternating like rally driver kind of thing. I love a black engraving on a steel bezel for the 24-hour bezel. I
Yep.
like that it's all brushed. It has like a nice glow to it.
Yeah.
It's just very balanced. There's a lot of information. It's very easy to photograph as well. I think that's another reason why I keep saving it in photos, but even in person, you know, whether it's like Christian Hagen or our buddy Eric Wind, it's like, it looks really good in person. One interesting thing that I find about it is I'm a big tropical dial fan, a big tropical Rolex dial fan. You never really see them in.
No, true.
It's probably a paint thing, but I also think it's funny that it's a cave exploration watch that didn't get a lot of sun, perhaps.
No, it's a cool pick. I love it.
Yeah,
I have to say.
1655. For whatever reason, it's just always done it for me. Yeah, and it's not really my wheelhouse. Like a Rolex with the date is like kind of not my thing.
No.
Date windows in general, cyclopses are not my thing. But for whatever reason, it's just, yeah. Mwah. Next category is dress watches. And this is one that you struggled with a little bit.
I did.
But we had to delay the start of filming so you could do a little research.
No, we didn't. But I did struggle because I'm thinking about dress watches and I'm like, okay, what's the one that I really like what is a dress watch, right? Is it like a vintage sports watch, a dress watch? Is it like a modern three-hander like this with a big date function and the sub-dial, sub-seconds, I mean?
I think it's funny that you like needed some extra time with this, not because there's so many to choose from, because you're like, nothing really came to mind.
Yeah.
The category is designed for looks first.
And so what I picked is
This
something.
is the most competitive
No,
category.
it is, but anything can be a dress watch, right? Per se.
No.
Yeah, of course.
This is not a dress watch.
No, but I wear this with a dress. I'd wear this with a dress.
You wear a dress?
Yeah, of course. No, but all jokes aside, Laurent Ferrier Classic.
Okay.
Because Laurent Ferrier is really, when it comes to modern dress watches or three-handers, is something that I would consider. And I looked into them a while ago, like buying one. I
Price is not.
No, but I was on
Not a
fence
factor
between
here.
them and the Patek Calatrava. As much as I love the Patek Calatrava, Laurent Ferrier has always done it for me more because of the dial, because of the hands, because of the case shape, because of the micro rotor movements in the case back. They're beautiful. Because of the fact that when you look at a brand that creates a tourbillon and they put the tourbillon on the case back. I mean, they put on the back, so you don't even see it from the front, from the dial side. What does that tell you? That it's like, we did it because we can and we love it, and this is a great complication, but we absolutely don't want to be a show-off brand. So it's like, this is just a great time-only watch. Oh no, it's a tourbillon, you know?
Yeah, and normally I'm a tourbillon on the dial kind of fan, just to get your money's worth, and I think it's a nice visual.
And that's exactly why they did not do that, I think. So I love this.
It could be done tastefully. A Breguet 3350 is a contender for my answer. You can't guess that now, but that's a really good example of
I can't
one.
even remember the reference of it now, but no, Laurent Ferrier Classique.
Okay,
That's beautiful.
I mean, they're great. Like, they take such few elements and make it their own and make it so well proportioned. I think they do proportions better than anyone else, with just like exactly how thick their hands are, exactly how stretched out their hour markers are.
Yeah.
I mean, I had literally done a search online for Maasai spears, which is like an African tribe that they pulled the inspiration for the hands from. Not for self-defense for my apartment, but more like just as a decorative kind of thing. I think they're just beautiful. Laurent Ferrier, yeah, gorgeous.
No, and you know, for someone who, I guess I'm privileged in the sense that I can go to these meetups and see the brands and oftentimes see the latest models. I've said this before on the Fratello podcast as well. Every time you go to a Laurent Ferrier meeting in Geneva Watch Days, it's nothing special. It's just one of the rooms in the Beau Rivage, you know, with a big table. You go in, they offer you coffee. There's nothing fancy schmancy. It's just a regular meeting. But Mr. Ferrier, he's always there, always dressed super, super elegantly.
And the watches speak for themselves.
The watches speak for themselves. He sits there, he listens, he shakes your hand, he introduces you. You know, it's just a great experience, overall experience.
Yeah.
It's nothing more than what they want it to be. And if you look, and I suggest if you don't know who Laurent Ferrier is, you Google him. That man has lived a life. If you look at him, it's like this old gentleman in like a, you know, double-breasted suit, gray hair, gray beard, kind of like a grandpa. But he was racing in Le Mans in the 70s.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, look who was racing in Le Mans in the 70s. I mean, he's an old gentleman now, but back then the guy was like, yeah. So it's a cool story, and that makes the watches, to me, super cool and also beautiful. So Laurent Ferrier for me, but what is it for you, Breguet?
No, I mean, I fed you that.
I know, but I wanted to
But
cheat.
I took you on a turn.
Okay, dress watch.
This shouldn't be that hard. What's the one I talk about all the time?
The Lange one.
Ah, there we go.
Oh my God, I found it. That's a sweet watch.
Yeah, amazing.
That's a beautiful piece. Yeah, that's the Lange for a lot of people,
It's the
including
one
me.
for a reason.
Yeah, that's the Lange
it's the
one
one
for a
for
reason.
me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I give you that.
It's one of my bucket list watches, up there with the 1655. It's like, you know, one of like the 5 watches I like really want to own in life.
It's like 50 grand for the 2.
Yeah, which
could
is
do.
not super doable for me, let's say. But
No, of course, but I'm saying like it's not a
it's
crazy
aspirational
dream.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a reason why it's just such an iconic watch. It's like it does the best date window of anyone in the industry. Asymmetry is amazing. There's a point where they can add more features where it adds to the watch instead of being too much. A Lange One Perpetual is like way too much. It's too much crammed in. I wouldn't say no to a moon phase, let's say. The Darth might be my number one. Mother of Pearl is certainly up there. Or just kind of a monochrome, you know, white gold or platinum.
You know, Lange is so traditional when it comes to watches. Even when they do the sports watches, it looks very, you know, very traditional, very dress
Lange,
watchy.
yeah.
But the Darth is such a cool piece because it took this like the cornerstone of Lange and twisted it
It's the dark side of it.
into a modern thing, but it's still 1000% Lange with like this great modern twist.
So that's my answer. It's always going to be my answer. I mean, Patek Philippe 96 proved, or like a lot of Calatravas would fall into that realm.
Totally. Or like Piagets or even certain Cartiers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, Cartier for sure, yeah. But there's no like real Cartier that like really jumps out to me, I would say.
So now we're talking Complication.
Last one is Complication.
The most beautiful complicated watch according to Balazs.
Yeah, well, I'm also curious to start, before I even guess what it is, I want to guess like which Complication you're going to go for. You're a big chronograph guy, but I could also see you going into GMT territory or world time territory or perpetual calendar territory. I'm going to guess you're going chronograph. Just because that's like a passion of yours.
We'll see, but yeah.
Is that correct?
It is a chronograph.
Okay. What kind of price point are we talking?
Heavy.
Heavy.
6 digits.
I don't know if it's a 6-digit watch, but is it like a Patek Philippe, like 2-register kind of thing?
Very warm.
Is it a Patek?
Very warm. Yeah, hot.
Vintage?
Ish, yes. And I've mentioned this before. That's my exit Patek, or one of my.
Oh, well, now I feel like a bad friend
Yeah.
if I don't guess it. It's not like a 1518 2499 kind of
No,
thing.
no.
All right, out with it.
It's the 3970.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the 3970, just a predecessor to the 5970, which is obviously more than a chronograph. So it is a chronograph, but then it's obviously more than that. And it's like a, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it could be like 90,000, but it's like 100,000 plus, I think, for a normal piece. Yeah, to me, it's just like, you look at this chronograph, which is like a 38, steel with 2 pump pushers. It kind of looks like this. But then, of course, it's much more than that. I think it's also Lemania movement, same as you have at Speedy and many other watches, Lemania-based movement. In terms of complication, okay, chronograph is not being more than that, qualifies. But it's still a chronograph, which is my favorite complication probably of all times. That's the watches that I have the most of. So the 3970. If there's anybody out there with a spare one that they want to give to.
Do yellow gold?
When I get a 3970, I absolutely could not care less about the material. I think I'm not the biggest.
Big moment.
I'm not the biggest yellow gold fan, but I would do that. Yeah, I would do that.
See, the fact that they're like the gold standard, no pun intended, makes them a little bit boring for me, like the two main.
They are a bit, yeah.
Nothing against the watch, obviously. Oh my
They
God,
are, yeah.
But like, it feels a little too predictable for me, and I have to be different, of course.
It is, but I know it's just like, it's like people say, oh, like a 911 Porsche is like boring. A 911 Porsche is not boring. It's a 911 Porsche.
It's a classic for a reason, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure if I owned one, I would change my tune.
There you go. So what's yours?
Well, that's my complication first.
Your complication is a world timer.
Oh, I mean, there are some really beautiful ones out there. Patek, for example,
Yeah. Okay.
has some
so it's
pretty
not.
banging ones. No, it's not.
It's a GMT
No.
chronograph.
Nope.
Perpetual calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're not going to guess which one.
Is it Patek as well?
No. There are some Patek ones, 5038G, white Roman numerals on a black dial.
Not my thing, but
gorgeous, but it's like a little bit too much text going on.
Okay, so it's
Like
not a brand.
it's like a little busy.
So is it a Swiss brand?
Yeah.
Fresh from Constantin?
No. Although, yeah, they make decent ones. I'll just tell you.
Okay, tell me.
Breguet was up there. Daniel Roth, Perpetual Calendar. It's not my
Fair,
top choice, but
fair.
I like that it's like all these little bubbles that are like for other subdials. It's not just the typical like 369 kind of subdial, 3940 kind of thing, which again, fine. I like that they're all just kind of floating. They look like little like lily pads on a pond kind of thing. And like obviously the guilloche is great and it's like just busy enough, but like very cohesive at the same time. I'm a big fan of Daniel Roth era Breguet, but that's not where we're going. I'm gonna go IWC Portofino Perpetual.
Okay, I wouldn't go there.
I know you're not an IWC fan, that's fine.
I'm not against him. I'm not the biggest fan, but nothing against him.
They do a lot of really good perpetual calendars. Again, we're not talking about price in this calculus, but some really good ones. The Romana is another favorite of mine, and those are like under 15 for a really good perpetual calendar, which I think has a Kurt Klaus like crown only, adjusted by the crown alone kind of thing. I would go with the Portofino. You have these leaf hands, you have a Roman numeral 12 at the top, 40 millimeter case with like a big dial, thin bezel. And what that creates is breathing room for a perpetual calendar. A lot of other perpetual calendars that I could have chosen, including the Breguet, including a Cartier Tortue that I really enjoy, are squeezing a lot of information into a small amount of space, and you're like, you can't like really read what's going on. This one, by using like a smaller font and only like 3 subdials, and no real hour markers to speak of necessarily, it's very easy on the eyes. When it's very hit or miss, and it's, as far as perpetual calendars or any complication goes, it's like there's a million different answers for this.
Yeah.
But that's the one that I just like, I didn't really think it was possible to do a perpetual calendar in that way. in that minimally. Like there's a lot of classical cues, but it's like a very minimal setup at the same time, which I like.
Oh, it is, and I think it's a great choice. And as I said, no, I don't. No, I do.
You're allowed to disagree.
I like the Portofino. IWC is not my favorite brand, I have to say, but Portofino I do like, and I think we did good. We didn't guess everything, but we were kind of on the same track.
And there's nothing of yours that I like really fundamentally disagree with. Maybe the Doxa, I guess. It's like, just not my
Next time I come and bring my Doxa, and you can wear it for a few days.
I think the forged carbon might tip me.
Yeah, we like that.
It's a material thing. I'm sympathetic towards anything in forged carbon.
It's not your typical Brooklyn watch, but it's a good watch.
This has been the first annual, maybe last annual. Unless you change your mind next year.
Let's see about that.
Chrono 24 beauty pageant. This is where you guys get involved. I want to hear affordable, let's say under 1,000.
Yeah.
Sport, dress, complication, can't be any complication. If you had to really pick just one of each, what would you do? Who cares about history? Who cares about price for the most part? Horological significance. Just what really gets you going.
Like and subscribe. He's Thomas Hendricks. I'm Balazs Ferenczi.
And you're taking my job now. See you guys next time.
See you next time.